Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. Welcome back.
Yeah, man, how you doing? You good? I know you like that. I know you like that. How long you been back, man? You know you like that. 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 What? You know you like that. Come on. You know you like that.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Thank you for tuning in to Live It Out Inc. This segment is divorce and mental health, and I want to start with this quote. I didn't just lose my partner. I lost the future I thought I'd have. So today we're talking about divorce, grief, identity, and what healthy actually looks like after divorce. I'm Janice, your VP of Live It Out Inc. Again, thank you guys for tuning in. You can watch on YouTube and Facebook. Make sure you subscribe to our Live It Out page. And just remember to share your thoughts and the questions you have in the comment. Come on in, click like, let us know you're here, let us know you're active, be part of the conversation. And I just want you to know that we have some very special guests here. So if you are divorced, if you've been divorced, if you're thinking about divorce, which that's not what we're encouraging, but if you've experienced anything with divorce, if you're feeling lost, angry, relieved of all of those, just know you are not alone. I have three special guests that's going to share their perspective on divorce and mental health. Can you bring them on in? And we're going to let them introduce themselves as we get started. So we're going to start with James. James, just introduce yourself. Tell us just a little bit about you.
All right, my name is James Kirkland. I was married for 20 years, 3 children, host a podcast called The Intellectual Student. We have live shows every Monday night. And that's about it. Anything else you want to know specifically?
Well, that's fine right there. Make sure you check out Intellectual Stew on Monday. Very good podcast. Benet, can you introduce yourselves?
Hey, y'all. I'm Benet Butler. I am a licensed professional therapist. I was married for 10 years. I have 4 girls, and I'm newly divorced. But a little bit about what I do as far as being a therapist is I help overly functioning women and women who may have an anxious attachment style come back to themselves and create emotional safety within themselves. So that's a little bit about what I do.
So what's the name of the organization that you started? I saw it. What was the name of it?
The name is Empower Her Collective.
Yeah, so you guys make sure you check her out. Check her out. Diane, introduce yourself.
Hello, my name is Diane Armstrong. It used to be Diane Armstrong Stuckey when I was married. I was married for 24 years. I was married for 24 years, and I just hit 3 years of being divorced. And I've been in social services for almost 30 years.
Awesome. That's a lot of years between the three of you guys being married. Those are a lot of years. So to kick it off, James, when did you realize your relationship was ending? And this is at the breaking point. When did you realize your relationship was ending?
So I'm supposed to tell the truth, right?
Yes, please.
I just want to make sure. I found out when she called me upstairs. I had no clue.
Wow. Okay.
I was downstairs and I got a text saying, "Can you come upstairs right quick?"
Ooh.
And then when she came upstairs, she said, "Hey, I found a rental and me and the girls are moving out."
Just cutthroat, just like that. Okay.
You told me to tell the truth.
Yes,
real talk.
absolutely.
I mean, now don't get me wrong. Now
Renee,
we had.
when did you realize your relationship was ending?
Okay.
That is that for me?
Yes.
Okay. I think I recognized maybe emotionally first before the divorce ever occurred, or me even getting papers or thinking about looking at how to get the documents. And I think it was when I was not emotionally involved anymore. Like I was physically there, but emotionally I was completely numb. I think another sign for me was that I was disconnected from myself. Um, I didn't know who I was anymore. I was just going through the motion, kind of disassociating a little bit. And I was like, you know what? This has to change. Like, I can't live like this anymore. And so that's when I decided to make the decision.
So you emotionally checked out, and that was your clue. That was your sign. Okay, James, what about you?
Well, like I said, I was married for 24 years. We were had been together for 30. Early on, we had some rocky years. I thought if we would have gotten divorced, it would have been sooner than all of those years. So we've had some rocky roads, but the past couple of years prior to him asking for a divorce, I thought we were doing well. So I was actually on my way to a really good friend's party, came out the shower. He was sitting in the room and said, I need to tell you something. Told me he wanted a divorce.
So you and James kind of had similar experiences, like just all of a sudden. So with that, James, what emotions hit first? Like, how did you feel at that moment? What emotions hit you first?
Well, I don't know, because I mean, back then I didn't recognize emotions. You know what I'm saying? Before
Oh,
therapy, I didn't. I don't think I felt emotions like that. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? When I had the thought, the initial thought was, because I was asleep when she called me, so I went back downstairs and I went back, laid back on the couch, and then I kind of woke up and it was surreal. It was like I could be single, but then I'm
right.
like, what would life be like single?
Mhm.
I mean,
Mm-hmm.
because by this time you got to understand. By this time, I've learned how to be married. I've
Okay.
grown up. I've grown up in the marriage. You know what I'm saying? Now, growing up produces growing pains. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? And those pains were early on. I made a lot of mistakes in my early years. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? But as time
Mhm.
went on, if we say in the church, Diane, the things I used to do,
You
I
don't
kind of
do
stopped
no
doing. I
more.
don't, I don't, I don't do those things no more. I stopped kind of doing those things. As I grow older. You know what I'm saying? So,
Mhm.
but the pain is there. And if you don't
Right.
put antiseptic on pain, see, this is what happens. This is what happens. When there's intense pain like that, one or two things have to happen. And you let me know if I'm wrong or not, Vinay. You either amputate or you rehabilitate.
Mhm.
And if you choose to rehabilitate, that takes work. That's waking up at 6 a.m. and going through therapy and all that. Or you can amputate, and I can cut it off. Only thing about amputation is that you end up walking with a limp because you
Right.
lose something. And
Absolutely.
so my initial thought was, wow. I wrote a book. I wrote a chapter about that in my book, and I call it the conversation I should have had.
Mhm.
Oh, okay.
You know what I'm
Okay.
saying? Because I didn't have the conversation. A mature James in that moment would have, wait a minute, hold on, let's talk. You know what I'm saying? And try to
Mhm.
plead my case then and explain and try to work some things out. I wasn't mature in that stage. You feel what I'm saying? So
Got
I
you.
my thoughts were all over the place. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to dominate the mic. My bad.
Oh no,
But yeah,
you're fine. You're
okay.
Mhm.
fine. Vinay,
I'm gonna
what
stick with
was
you
your
tonight.
initial emotion like? What emotion hit first when you but you kind of touched on it because you said you was disconnected, you
I
had checked out.
was. I was but I will I agree with you, James. I think the emotions that I suppressed was anger. I was really angry. And I think I was disappointed. And then the emotion that I did not recognize was grief.
Right.
Mm.
I was grieving. And that felt like depression to me. And I had to sit down with myself and say, no, you're probably grieving because this is a big loss. Nobody passed away, but the role passed away. Like
Mhm.
the expectation, the life, the future, what you imagined, like
Mhm.
all of that is a loss. And so I think instead of like becoming really sad about it, I think I became angry. And I suppressed that anger because that's not what nice girls do.
Right, right. Of course.
Mhm.
But they did say divorce is like grieving a living person. So it is
Mhm.
a form of grief that some people do experience. They grieve a living person. And I
Absolutely.
guess it's like being with somebody and still being alone and still,
Mhm.
feeling alone.
Hmm.
Oh, okay, so Diane, for you, what emotion hit you first?
I think my first initial emotion was numbness, shock, because the time and okay, if that's how you're feeling, I get that. I can't control no one else's feelings but my own. So if that's how you feeling, I guess I can understand that. But the timing in which you would tell me I'm about to leave to go celebrate something, and I was terrible at that party.
Right.
It was my girl's birthday, and she consoling me
So you
that
went to
day.
the party with the news. You went head on and went
I
to the
went
party.
to the party. My friend was on her way to picked me up, and felt it on me, and she was asking me what's wrong, and I told her, I said, I'm getting a divorce, and she looked like what? Because if you knew our story, we had been over the 24 years of marriage, 30 years of being together. We had been through some things that we probably should have gotten divorced.
Right.
But you get to year 24 and now you want a divorce. And based on what we've been through and stuck through each other by, and it was just, so I went from numbness to shock to hurt to angry.
Oh
Hmm.
wow.
And then the grief started hitting. After all those feelings, then the grief started hitting
Hmm.
because I grew up with both my parents and a sister, just the four
Mhm.
of us. All of them were already gone.
Uh,
And then this person is here but is leaving. But still physically here, that's
Hmm.
wow.
it
Yeah,
was just
that's heavy.
hard. Yeah.
Right. Right. Whew, that is heavy. So the mental health impact part is for you, James, because I know you on a time frame. What mental health struggles
No,
showed up
I'm
for
gonna ride with you. I'm gonna ride with you. Don't slow down for me. I'm gonna ride with you tonight. I'm gonna stay with you.
Okay.
So I'm good. I'm
So,
good.
what mental health struggles showed up for you? Was it anxiety, depression, insomnia, intrusive thoughts?
Can you name about
What
six
when it
more to put with
started?
that? You named all those. If you can put about 5 or 6 more with that, you'll probably cover it. No, I mean, no, I mean, I mean, real talk. But you don't. But when you think of mental health, you think of people in a mental asylum. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You think of people who are medicated. Well, that's what I thought. I'm not gonna say what you think now. Now I'm
Well,
much
that
more. No, I'm more.
yeah, that's mental
Now I have.
illness.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Now I have a better understanding of it. So when I almost cussed. I might have had me. I might have. I'm joking. I'm joking, for Nate. She usually just say shit. But
He not
I mean,
joking.
loneliness. My biggest thing was loneliness, man. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying? Because it was like silence sounded like noise.
Mm. Hmm. Hmm.
Hmm.
Because I was alone. I mean, you think about it, 3 kids, a dog, a wife, there was always noise in the house. There was all, and it was good noise. You know what I'm saying? It was
Right.
conversations. Now I'm alone. I'm by myself. I've gone from a 4 bedroom house to a 1 bedroom apartment. You mean to tell me paper towels don't just show up in the pantry?
They
I mean,
don't.
sheets don't just show up and they don't just fold themselves. I don't have 1,700 thread count sheets now. I got these little 400 thread counts from Walmart I had to pick up because I needed some. Things have changed. Y'all laughing at me, and I'm laughing at my pain. I get
I,
it. No, I'm joking. I'm
It's
joking.
just
But
good to
but
hear
but
a
that's
man's perspective.
wait.
It's
But
good to
yeah.
hear a
you're in the
man's
middle of cooking
perspective.
and then you realize you don't have butter. You got to run to the store right quick because those things would normally be there.
Right.
So these are adjustments that you don't know you have to make. And then all of a sudden you're in that moment. You know what I'm saying? Janice, I wrote a book called Stuck on the Couch. There was a
Mm-hmm.
moment there was a season, a long season
Hmm.
that I was literally sleep on my couch, eat on my couch, watch TV on my couch. Listen, but when I would fall asleep, I mean, I wouldn't go to bed. I'd fall asleep. So when I
Right.
fell asleep, if I woke up at 2 o'clock and tried to go get in my bed, I couldn't sleep because the walls were. I go get back on the couch and watch TV until I fell asleep again.
Mhm.
So there were a myriad of emotions. There was probably a lot of mental things that I was going through, and until one day, I was in the bath, walking to the bathroom, and I so happened to pass by the mirror, and I caught a glimpse out of myself, out of my peripheral, and I said, "Hey, self," because I was so lost, and I
Right.
hadn't looked at myself because I don't think I wanted to see where I was.
Mhm.
I don't think
That's
I wanted to see the state I had become. So if you don't want to see it, you don't look in the mirror. You don't go looking for it, right? Because I don't have to look in the mirror to brush my teeth. I can walk around the house doing that. I could
right.
ride down the street. I could drive down the street and tie my tie. That's easy. I've been doing that for a long time. So I really didn't have to look in the mirror. You know, most people look in the mirror when they try to fix flaws, right?
Right.
Mhm.
Y'all don't say amen. I'll say it. Don't worry about it.
No, no,
But
no,
so
no. I mean,
Mhm.
yeah.
No.
look in the
I
mirror
didn't
because
want to see the flaw.
we good. We
I didn't
look
want to see
good
the
before we
flaws.
go
Yeah.
out the door.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't want. So my point
Mhm.
is, I didn't want to see the flaws. So I didn't look in the mirror. So when I finally caught a glimpse out of my peripheral vision and I saw myself, then that was God saying, hey, buddy, I'm in here. And then that was kind of my process to waking up. That was my epiphany. You know what I'm saying? But no, I had a myriad of mental health things that I was going through. And it took a lot to come through that. Let me shut
Okay.
up. I'm talking too much.
No, 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 no. We need that
Mhm.
as from a male's perspective. You know, that's
Mhm.
what that we needed to. We need to hear that. But now with you, what mental health struggles showed up for you?
I think I had the opposite experience from James. I think the flaws were very much in my face. Just with like the breaking up of the family and my children asking questions and things changing and me having to have uncomfortable conversations. And so for me, those flaws, those imperfections made me anxious. It made me depressed. I wasn't sleeping.
Mhm.
I remember even going into grocery stores and I'll be in there knowing what I need to go in there for before I hit the door. But when I hit the door, I would be just in the aisle, just
Wow.
staring. Like, what was I in here? Like, my memory was going bad. I was having brain fog. I couldn't concentrate on the things that I needed to concentrate on. It was really like I was dissociating every single day though. Dissociating every single day. And I think because I'm a recovering overfunctioner, I'm where I'm used to functioning and getting things done and getting
Right.
Mhm.
involved and doing all the things. And my flaws was like, baby, no, you not. No,
Right.
you're not doing anything. And it hit me because I felt like a failure. I felt like I failed.
Mhm.
So I think the way my body responded to that was shut down completely. I was there physically, like I said, but emotionally, mentally, I was gone,
Gone.
gone. And that's the way my body was trying to process it. And it wasn't until I actually left the home where I had to start like James said, looking in the mirror and being like, girl, what's up?
Right.
Like what's going on? Like how are we really feeling? Like you have to name the hurt.
Wow.
That was very hard for me. So yeah, I think insomnia, depression, anger, dissociation, anxiety, like all those things were like hitting me hard.
Oh wow. Diane.
Oh, straight depression. That's an easy
Great.
one. Straight depression because, and also because I didn't want to have those hard conversations with him.
Mm-hmm.
And in reality, it wasn't a whole bunch that needed to be said. Our child, we only have one son. He was grown at that point. But he filed for divorce. And I didn't know I'm from California, in the state of Georgia, because we owned our property together. It's marital property. We had to be separated for a year before the divorce was final.
Oh.
But because we owned the property together, he had the right to stay in the house. So I was separated from
Wow.
someone in my own home
Mhm.
for
Wow.
a year.
Mhm.
And that was hard just to, I mean, the house wasn't a home anymore. I mean, we were very cordial. We didn't go out ugly or anything. We were cordial, but the weight of it all was just, it was a lot. It was a lot. And I had just started the new job. I was with you all at that time.
Right.
And had I not had a strong foundation of friends outside of work and then able to go to work and still have someone to, lean on, have a conversation with, I don't know where I don't know where I'd be. Because I've had a plan B for almost everything in my life. Never
Except,
had one for my marriage.
wow.
And like I said, it wasn't a good, I mean, all those years, I'm not saying, oh, we was good. We was this one. No, we went through a lot. We went through some hell. We
Right.
went through some hell. It's sometimes I'm like, nah, we not gonna be together. It's sometimes he was, nah, we not gonna be together. It's been times, we wasn't sleeping in the same room over the years and everything. But you get to year 24 and we celebrated that anniversary, went out to eat, had a good time. His aunt had a surprise birthday party that November. So our anniversary was that July. Had a great time with each other. That November, his uncle had a surprise birthday party for his aunt. We out there celebrating pictures and everything, having a grand old time. That December, he asked for a divorce.
Mhm.
Wow.
Yeah. So I went, yeah, mine was, it was depressed. It was hurt. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I just feel so bad. But it's life. It's a
Yeah.
part of life that,
Mhm.
unfortunately, some people have to go through. So when
Mhm.
we're talking about coping and surviving, but now I heard you say day to day, you was just going through it, like emotionally, you was just going through it. So when you're trying to function from day to day, going through the divorce, right in the midst of it, what helped for you, James? Like what helped you day to day?
I don't know honestly because I really was like a ship without a sail.
Mhm.
I mean, because I mean, give you an example. I'm giving an example, and this is real talk. I moved in. I moved out of my house on a Sunday, moved into my apartment, went to work on Monday and got fired.
Wow.
And when I went to work and got fired that day, you see this pattern, don't you, Diane? I'm always getting fired, right? But I got fired on that. I gotta laugh. I got a joke to keep from crying. I'm joking. But I got fired, and when I got fired, I literally said I ain't never working for nobody again because
Mm.
I never. And I probably went home and waited to get evicted because I still had to pay
Oh,
the rent. You know what I'm saying?
right.
But I didn't know it. End of the month, I get a phone call, enough money to pay all the bills. Bam, and that started a pattern for me.
Mm.
It literally every month I would make enough like in one weekend to pay all my bills. But the rest of the month I was stuck on the couch.
Oh, wow.
And
Mm.
and but that just kind of increased. So to answer your question, I was kept.
Hey,
And and and
come
that
on.
and that's kind of that whole scripture now to him that's able to keep you from falling. That's
Mhm.
he kept me. When you talk the word keep in the Greek means preserved, it means manufactured. I mean it's kind of it's something that would have spoiled its lease on life is renewed, daily because you're kept. I was kept. And that's the only thing I had at that point. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And he been
Mhm.
keeping me since 2017. I didn't work much. I work every now and then until I get mad and leave, quit, or get fired on purpose. But I just can't do. I
Mm.
can't go after my dreams when they be having to work for them folks. No. But yeah. So now I was kept for real. I
Oh,
don't know. I
that's
can't
real.
give you a definite time.
He would definitely do it. God would definitely
Mhm.
do it.
He did.
Um, Diane, day to day, what helped you function day to day? Because this is heavy. I've never
Mhm.
been married, so of course I've never been divorced. So I can't even begin to fathom what that feels like. But just listening,
Mhm.
um, that's a lot of hurt. That's a lot. That's a
Mhm.
heavy load to carry for the man part, and the
Mhm.
women.
And sometimes some some days, of course, God kept me through it all, but some days I would just stay in the bed.
Mhm.
Sometimes I would just stay in the bed. Like I said, I got a great, great sisterhood, great
Right.
sisterhood. So, they're always there. And then, like I said, my marriage wasn't all bad. It was absolutely a blessing because I received my biggest blessing out of it, which was my son.
Mhm.
So I can't say anything, you know, really bad about my ex-husband. He's a good man, comes from a great family, which is one of the reasons I married him. My family was a family, my parents was till death did them part. And they was married 36, 38 years before my father passed away. His parents are still together to this day.
Mhm.
And they've been married over 50 years. He's 55, so they've been married 56 years probably. So,
Wow. Yeah.
we were like, and I grew up, I'll never get married. I'll never get married because I'm trying to figure out all this time how my mom and daddy staying together like this. They've been
Right.
with each other. I'm like, how people doing this? And other people in my family, they was going through divorce. My parents were one of the strongest, foundations in the family. So I saw it growing up. When I met his family, I saw it and I was like, oh, okay, this is very familiar. Excellent family, very familiar. So I have no regrets on that. It's just the ending that had me
Right.
confused.
Mhm.
I'm trying to step away from that because I know, being a Christian, I know when I was born, God already knew this was coming.
Right. Right.
But trying to accept
Step-
it is still,
Mhm.
and like we mentioned earlier, the grief of it all, I went through that whole, I'm just tired of grief. I'm tired of grief. I lost my father. I lost my mother. I lost my only sister. Now, God, you telling me, you're taking this familiarity away from me also. And it was just a cycle that it took a while for me to get out of. And I mean, I'm still not out of some depressions. I still go to
Right.
therapy and everything, but a lot of my depressions now is just how the kids be saying life be life, and
Life be
it's
life.
not necessarily connected to divorce or anything like that. Is just a lot of things that happen, and I just have to stay prayed up. Just, if I'm being completely honest and transparent, just this past Thursday I had my best friend's car. I'm on my way home, I get into an accident in her car, not even in my car.
Right.
I'm in my friend's car, and I'm like, God, you throwing something else at me again? It's
Mhm.
just life be life.
Right. Right.
But I stay prayed up. I got a good bishop.
Right. Well, you hang in there, Dane. Don't,
Life be life, and Janice.
I know
I
you
told
hang
you.
hang in
I
there.
told you.
Praying for you. Hang in there. And I'm glad you spoke about relationships.
Mhm.
With, like, his family and stuff. So when it comes to the relationship part, because you get to know the other side of the family, you
Mhm.
have common friends. So James, at this point, how did your friendship or your family relationship change?
Come on, her family.
No, with just overall with your friends, your family, her family. How did it change? Because usually, if you fall out with somebody, the whole family fall out with you, or you might be cool with this one and that one. Then you can't go out on couple dates because y'all not a couple anymore. So
I
those
ain't do that.
couple,
No, I ain't do that no way.
kind
Um,
of like that. What
uh,
happened to friendship?
what, I don't know if you read Pastor McDaniel's comments. He made a real good comment in the comment, and he said something that was very powerful, and it was very applicable to my life. He said that after the embarrassment, after all the anger, after the anxiety, that he became an introvert, and I became an introvert, and so I didn't care who I hung around. I was cool alone. So I didn't rock. I didn't rock with her family. I stopped rocking with her family. I unfriended all of them at that time. You know what I'm saying? I didn't want nothing to do with all. Only one, and I'm serious. Only one I really dealt with like that at that time. And I'm not being. And I don't hate nobody, but was her mother. And me and her mother were cool because she was on my side. You know what I'm saying? But her mother passed away, and that hurt me. That hurt me really, 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 really bad. So I didn't rock with them. I didn't even rock with mine hardly. The only one I really rocked with probably was my mama and my daddy, because I'm a Cancer anyway, so I had gone so far.
That's why we clicked, Jay. All three of us Cancers.
Yeah, I got the yeah. But I went so far inside my shell.
Mm-hmm.
If you you got it. I don't know if you're familiar with the story about Elijah at the Brook of Kerith. I was at the Brook of Kerith, and it talks about Kerith is a place of cutting. It was like I was getting surgery with no anesthesia. I was at home in pain, going through it by myself. And the thing about it is when you're opened up on the inside, you can't expose yourself to everybody. I'm going to drop that one. Y'all can pay you for that later on if you want to. You can't expose yourself to everybody, right? Because you're in a very vulnerable and a very sensitive state. So because I was so vulnerable and because my spirit was so sensitive, I really didn't find myself hanging around anybody. And at a certain point, I became an introvert. It took me 4 or 5, no, maybe 7, 8 years later before I had to look back and say, when did you become an introvert?
Yeah.
When did you get to the point where you don't like going places? I have to struggle and make myself go places. Now, I like going to the baseball game because I could be in front of a whole lot of folk and feel like I'm all by myself. You understand what I'm saying? Because I don't know them folk. I don't care nothing about the people.
Right.
So family and relationships, I didn't care. Most of my relationships were at church.
Okay.
And then the pandemic took those away.
Right. Sure did. Wow.
So I became the worst introvert. I'm serious. I literally didn't go anywhere, didn't do anything. I wasn't working. I might work on a weekend. But Vinay, you know how much it took out of me to have to be around these folk for 30 hours in 3 days? It was like, ugh. Let me take a shower, man. And so when I got back home after 3 days, I sit down for 2 or 3 just to get people off of me because I had become so much. So I feel you, McDaniel, on that. I became who I am. I wasn't like this.
Oh, wow.
And that affected my relationships.
Wow. Well, Vinay, what about your friendships and family relationships?
I think those remained the same. If anything, they probably strengthened. I think too, like James, as a Cancer, I wanted to isolate. I did not, because me talking about it, for me, it reminded me of failure, of like how this did not work. And so I was like, I need to deal with this on my own. I need to figure this out. I need to create a solution for this type of thing. And so I think I probably distanced myself a little bit more than anything else. Like his side of family, nothing has changed. Everything is still beautiful. Like we still have a great relationship. My side of family, my friends have been constant, have been consistent, have been showing up. So nothing changed there. I think if anything, my relationship with myself changed. And I will say that my relationship with God changed.
Okay.
Because in the beginning, I needed something to blame. And I blamed God. And I was just like, I prayed. Why didn't this work? Like our minds try to look for answers and make sense of stuff, right?
Those are thoughts.
Yeah. And so when I couldn't come up with the answer that sound good, that felt good, I was like, well, I did all these things and nothing changed, right? And so thank God, God is such a good God and he could hold us through anything. And so me questioning and me being angry with him didn't change his stance and who he was in my life. Thank God. But, I kind of let him have it because I was dealing with anger and I was shameful. I felt
Mhm.
shame about the divorce because in my situation, I asked for the divorce.
Okay.
So I asked for the divorce. And so there was a lot of shame behind that and a lot of what you doing? Why are you going to break up your family? All these things. And so I had to really let all of that out and process that. And thank God he didn't let me fall. He really didn't. I didn't feel any type of shame or judgment or guilt like from him at all. Like if anything, I felt more love and I really learned like what unconditional love looks like for real.
Yes.
Our relationship with him changed. It wasn't this relationship where I had to perform or I had to get it right or everything had to be perfect. He was like, I accept you in all shapes and all demeanors and all moods. Like, you the one created that, not me. Like, I didn't create that agenda. You created it. And so I thank God that I did isolate in that way because I was able to strengthen my relationship with God. And I thank God that I have the family and friends that I do because they never left either.
Right. Oh, well, that's good. Good for you, Diane. No, seriously, because you're on this path of finding yourself. Like, who am I after this? Like, I'm rebuild. You're rebuilding. We're in the rebuilding phase. Diane, I know you have a strong support system,
Mhm.
but also, y'all went to college together. Y'all kind of came through the trenches, and
Some of them high school
y'all
together.
had a
Yeah.
lot
So
of friends and stuff together. So how did that change? If it changed?
they just constant. It didn't change. It got stronger.
Okay.
I mean, it's a core of us. Six strong, seven. I make seven. So I mean, constantly in rotation, checking on each other, feeding into each other. I did go through a stint after and during the separation where I did have my conversations with God and went through the I don't understand it and why me? You've already taken so much and on and on and on. I stopped going to church for a moment. My prayers were, and I know prayers are really just conversations anyway, but my prayer conversation just turned strictly into conversation. It was, and I had to check myself because it had no gratefulness in it no more. And I've always been a devotion person, a grateful person, and I start listening to my conversations with God, and it was more questions than gratitude. And
Right.
that's when I knew,
Mhm.
okay, I need to go to therapy because
Oh,
I got the strong, faith and foundation. But when that conversation started to change, I'm like, nah, this not you. And
right.
then I got those three spirits above my father, my mother, and my sister. I start remembering things that my parents would say, and that started weighing heavy on me because I'm like, I didn't feel like I was being a good representation of them.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot like what Vinay said, I'm like, my parents was married almost 40 years before my father passed. And I went through that phase where Vinay was like, dang, I felt at this, but I grew up in this.
Mhm.
And then, I had great relationship, with my in-laws and, their marriage strong and everything. And I'm like, so what happened? And it's a lot of things that contribute to on both sides. I'm not saying that, my ex is a bad person. Like I said, he's an excellent person, excellent father. I can't, see my son being the young man he is without the both of our input. So, I know everything is meant, for God's will,
Mm-hmm.
but I just couldn't get past the like we're cancers. I want to understand this.
Yeah.
Okay, God. I'm like, God, yeah, this go happen. It already happened. I get that, but I still want to understand why it happened. And I'm never gonna get that.
Mm.
I'm never, so I'm still 3 years later, I'm still trying to process that part of it.
Mhm.
But I'll never get that. But I'm back to my devotions. I'm back to my faith. Like I said, my friends never left. I got one. Well, I got several aunts and uncles, but one auntie that she go feed into me on a regular basis, good or bad. She go give it to me straight, no chaser. So I got those people that's there and go keep me. And then looking at my son, I have to be grateful. I got a beautiful
Right.
niece, so I got to be, it's hard, but it's a purpose behind it.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, sound like, well, James went to be an introvert, but it sounded like you guys had a good support system. So now, and I know all of you have kids. So in co-parenting with the kids, and Diane, I know Jalen is grown, but still your baby. How do you protect your mental health while co-parenting? Was it challenging, or was it just, hey, we already know that we need to do this? So how did that work out? We're gonna start with James.
I I I don't know. Because I was listening to Vinay, tell her story, and I heard and listened to her story. I envisioned what my wife must have been going through, or my ex must have been going through, because she kept the children. They all stayed with her. It was never even an option. You know what I'm saying? That
Right.
my kids gonna stay with her. So I don't have to deal with the questions at night. I don't have to deal with the uncertain. I know one thing she did was she tried to keep not life as normal as possible. You know what I'm
Mm,
saying? That's one thing she told me. She said I'm going to try her best. She's going to try the best to keep her life as normal. So I became more of a support to her. Even in the beginning, we still spent every Sunday together. Sundays together. I would go over her house and barbecue because we weren't enemies. You know what I'm saying? We were we,
Right.
were,
Right.
we didn't even fuss. We didn't argue. We probably had 2 or 3 arguments in the 20 years we were married. So, we just didn't fuss and argue and fight. We probably fought silently. You know what I'm saying? We'd be quiet or whatever. But so I don't. So it never really was a time where we rode to baseball games together and softball games together. If I needed a greeter for the weekend on my gig, I would hire her. You know what I'm saying? So I don't think I really had that issue as far as having to protect them. Like, no, and I might pause. I learned later. My kids got older and then started asking more questions.
Mm-hmm.
Then they felt like, I remember one time my daughter told me, "You apologized to her, but you didn't apologize to us."
Wow.
And
Mm-hmm.
I
Wow.
said, "Dang, I didn't know I had to." I wrote a whole book and fell on the sword in front of the whole world, but I didn't even come to my own children and tell them I'm sorry. Because you know
Mm-hmm.
what? We think our children are sponges, and we think they can put up with so much. We
mhm,
think they can handle everything, and you don't think about it. You know what I'm saying? So, and my other two, they're cancers as well, so they ain't gonna say nothing. But that
Mm-hmm.
little Sagittarius I got in there, that joker came in here, and when she want to tell it, she gonna tell it all, and
Right.
she let it be known. Hold on, you apologize to them, to her, but you didn't apologize to us.
Right.
You broke up our family. You did this. Da, 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 da. I said, oh, you're right. I'm sorry. I ain't gonna lie. Putting the dad at me, part of my hair stood up a little bit. I want to say shut up, but I couldn't. You can't say shut up, or you can't. I want to say I'm your daddy still. Now watch your mouth, but I
Yeah.
can't do that when you're right.
mhm,
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I can't do it. But she literally, she said you apologize to her, but you apologize to her. So I didn't realize what they were going through because, like my ex said, we were gonna keep life for normal for them. One
Right.
was gonna do cheerleading, one was gonna do softball. Even it's funny how you can go in the valley, but you can learn what type of soil is in the valley. Then you can plant the right seed and still find some type. You can find functionality and dysfunction.
Mm-hmm.
mhm,
You can.
Because the boy still got the degree, you know what I'm saying? The other one went on to college and got the Zell Miller scholarship and went on and got the degree at University of Georgia. The other one said, I ain't going to college because I already know what I want to do. She can. She got a 4.2 GPA and a 1400 on the SAT. She could have. So even in the midst of all that dysfunction, it
mhm,
still looked like function because everybody was functioning. But
Right.
then when the
mhm.
breaking point came and she said, but you didn't apologize to us,
That threw
how
you
you think
for
I
a
felt?
loop. Yeah.
Man, I felt like a failure
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
because I saw it in that moment.
Mhm.
It came full circle. What we were trying to protect them from, we couldn't protect them.
Right.
Mhm.
And they were forming their own opinion, just going along to get along.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Right. Those conversations that a lot of time kids don't know how to bring it to you until they're older. But just think growing
Mm-hmm.
up, they suppressing it and they got these questions that they don't know how to
Mm-hmm.
ask,
Yeah,
but they want to know.
that's good, Janice. That's good. That's good.
So okay. What about you, Vinay, with co-parenting with them four girls?
Yeah, so I have a big range. So at the time, my oldest was 18. I had a 9-year old, a 7-year old, and a 4-year old. So all very different ages develop and developmentally, it was just like, how do you kind of approach this, developmentally to make it make sense. The 4-year old, I don't think like she understood until like the transition kind of happened and the move kind of happened. That's when she was like, okay, things are different.
Right.
But me and my ex-husband, we are cordial. We co-parent very well. And I think, like James was saying, the most important thing for us is to be a united front for the children, at the end of the day. And so I think since we were still working together with that, it didn't make it easier, but it didn't make it harder. Um,
Right.
and I think I had to have some humility and I had to have accountability and be transparent and developmentally and have hard conversations. And I think the biggest thing that I had to kind of share with my children is that before I was your mother, I'm a woman.
Right.
I'm a human being having a human experience for the first time. So I'm not always going to get it right. And this picture is not going to look beautiful and perfect every single time. And so as I'm going through this, I want to make sure that I'm here for you, but also know this is hard for me too. So mommy might have some hard days. I'm not, I might, my mood might change. I try to be positive and things like that all the time and affirming, doing all the therapist things. But some days I'm like, I ain't got that in me today. I don't.
Right.
I don't have it in me today. And instead of just kind of like going to my room, which is what I wanted to do, I had to have conversations like, mommy doesn't have the capacity today, or mommy is not in the mood. What are some other things that we can do? We used to take walks. We would try to get out the house to kind of like just so I could feel different. And, but I think the biggest thing was honesty and
Mm.
having transparent, developmentally appropriate conversations with the children to give them a little bit of insight of what's going on, but at the end to reassure them that just because this change has happened, the love is still here.
Yeah.
The relationship still exists. The only thing that has changed is me and dad's relationship and the way we operated and our roles to each other, but our roles to you are the same.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
And some kids get it and some kids don't.
Yep.
Um and it takes very mature adults to be able to do that through the divorce. Um and luckily that you guys were able to do it, but you got some knockout drag outs kids
Mm.
screaming and hollering. Kids feel like they forced to pick sides. I don't want to go to daddy's house, I don't want to go to mommy's house. So
Mm-hmm.
it's we don't really put a lot of emphasis on how the child is being affected. Even that teenager that's like, okay, whatever y'all do, y'all just do whatever you want to do, you do it. They always have the I don't care, it don't bother me. I'm all right, I'm all right when they don't be all right.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
And the ones who really express themselves are the little ones. They're really to tell you, I don't like it. Daddy's not here. I want daddy, or I want mommy. I want more. The little kids, whatever they're feeling, they're gonna say it. But those kids that learn how to suppress those emotions and hold them in, that hurt and that pain, that confusion, that am I the reason why they're getting a divorce? Did I do something wrong? My grades should have been better. Maybe I shouldn't have did this. Those kids hold all of that in, and a lot of times it come out in a negative way, whether it's fighting, experiencing with drugs, being promiscuous, whatever these teenagers they need to know. We need to like let them in on it. Like what
Mhm.
you're feeling is real,
Mm-hmm.
but this is what we need to do about it.
Mm-hmm.
And it has to come from both ends. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
glad you guys were able to do that to let your kids know that yeah, the situation changed, but the love is still here. You can
Mm-hmm.
talk to mommy, you can talk to daddy.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Rather go talk to dad about this situation, that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
And adults have to be better about speaking about the other adult in the children presence.
Yeah.
You know,
Mhm.
we plant seeds, but they ain't always good seeds either.
Mm-hmm.
So Diane and I know Jalen, that's my baby, my nephew. So I,
Yeah.
that's
So
bad.
yeah. So when we were going through the separation, how was it? When we were going through the separation, he was 22. Um, he has an excellent relationship with both of us. So he's very open, asks questions and everything, but he wasn't as surprised
Mm,
because he wasn't as surprised because he was very honest and very verbal that he saw and heard things when he was in middle and high school between us that we didn't know.
oh,
He heard some of the disagreements and some of the arguments, and he saw some of the dysfunction and everything. Now he wanted some more clarity on why this was happening now
Mm-hmm.
because he had went away for college, then came back, and then when he came back, then that's when all this. So he had some questions there.
right,
I'm back. I'm this. None of this happened because of and of course none of it happened because of him. But he wasn't as surprised as we had thought. He's not happy. Of course, he's not happy at all that it happened. The
right.
way that it happened, he still has questions sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
His love for us is unwavering. He's still talks to his father stay in another state now. His father is remarried now. He still talks to his father probably three, four, 5 times a week. So his relationship with us is still extremely tight.
Well, that's good.
A
He
blessing. Yeah.
That's
they
good.
are pay attention to them because
Right.
they see stuff
That
that
we
we don't even fathom. Be like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
you heard that? Oh, you knew that? Oh, that brother shared some stuff with me. I was
right,
like, okay. Like,
right.
what do you do?
The
Okay.
spirits will come. Yes, they will.
Yes. Yeah.
So, okay, on moving forward, how has your view on love changed? Because I know we're getting ready to run out of time. So, how has your view on love changed? And do you think you're a different person now compared to before the divorce?
Who? Me?
James, yeah, James, you go.
Oh, you didn't say a name.
Uh,
Um, I view love. I
James a
view
mess.
love through a different. I view. No, she didn't say a name. Y'all know she did. I view love through a different lens now. I've learned how to love, and I think I'm intentional in it. But I'm not just gonna give it to anybody. I'm much more probably impatient now. I'm probably patient, but I'm impatient at the same time to an extent. And I know what I'm gonna put up with, and I know what I'm not gonna put up with. You know what I'm saying? Because I can do bad by myself. I don't need nobody
right,
else to do that. So I view love, but I believe in it. You know what I'm saying?
mhm,
And I believe in it. Now I believe in it. So I think I don't know. I'm kind of have mixed emotions because I've tried, but then again, it didn't work. You know what I'm saying? And when it don't work after I really try, because all the times I didn't try and it was right there in my face, right? It was like,
right,
here I am, please take me. I'm like, nah, that ain't what I chose. You know what I'm saying? But then you choose somebody, and then they don't choose you. You know what I'm
mm,
saying? Then it kind of you're like, yeah, you know. And then the reason why they don't choose, So I'm kind of in between on it. It's gonna have to fall in my lap. It's got to be the right person. And my
Mm-hmm.
heart's just gonna have to know. But I'm open to it. I'm open to it. So I just, like I said, I'm 53 now. You know what I'm saying? So I just view life through different lenses. I don't
Absolutely.
just, yeah, I just view it. So I even, so with that being said, I even view love through different lenses now. I'm in a different place, you know. So if it happens,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. What about you, Vinay?
To be honest, I think I'm still trying to figure that out
Mm-hmm.
because this is still fresh for me. I feel like it has changed, but I think instead of finding out how that has changed in the relationship, I'm learning how that has changed with just me. Like I have to learn what it's like first to love me for real. And for me to prioritize me. Um, and I'm still going through that. So I'm sure my definition will probably change a little later on in life, but I'm not, you know, I'm not in a position to be like trying to figure out what that is. I think really what I'm more interested is what does love look like with me? What does self-love look like?
Right.
So that I
Right.
can show up a
Inspiration.
little differently. Yeah, so I could show up a little differently because I'm not perfect and I'm sure there were things that I did.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that's the part that I'm at. Like, okay, what are some things I need to work on for me? How can I get in better relationship with me first before I try to become something or someone or possess something for someone else? And I don't even really want that. Like I want to be able to be so satisfied and so solid with me
Right.
that I can find, eventually a partnership that allows me to just be me without. So I think I'm saying all that to say is that I think my definition of love was a little distorted.
Oh,
And
Mm-hmm.
I'm learning after the fact that I have to do a little bit more digging. And I have to figure out first within me what that looks like before I could even possess that with someone else.
okay. Okay. Diane.
To be honest, I'm not. If it comes to me, that will be great. I've dated here and there, and I guess I'm still old school, thinking I'll meet somebody the old fashioned natural way. Tried the dating sites. That's not, nah. That didn't. No. The swipe left, the swipe right. Not I like no. And I really did, try, but it just, so I don't know how to operate love in this society today.
Right.
Hmm.
Oh, right.
I don't know how to. I do not know how to operate that. And then the fact that I was in such a long relationship, I'm like, how do you start over? Where do you start? How do you start? It's just so many questions. And
So
then they
we
got
didn't
all
have the
these
internet
new
when we got
names.
married, did we? We didn't even have the internet when we
No,
got married.
none of that. And now they have all these new phrases. People are in, what is it, situationships, and
All
I
kind of.
mean all kind of stuff. So I would love to have a companion. Would love to have a companion, because half my friends do have partners, someone they're with, and we go out, and then here I am, D by herself again, but I'm there with y'all. So but it's just not. Yeah, it hasn't worked as of yet. So God would have to actually put the person right in front of me and be like, "Woman, this is him."
Right. Got to hear that voice. God,
Yeah.
I see you.
Thus said the Lord.
Lord.
Lord, give me a sign or something. Do something.
It be some kind of sign, because it's, yeah, I don't, yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's good. Well, tonight has been nothing short of amazing. Thank you so much for all your insight, your perspective, your coping strategies. everything you have poured into the audience. Um, you guys keep living your best life, keep moving forward. It's gonna happen. Love still exists. Don't give
Before we
up.
leave, Miss Janice, before we leave, we have a question in the chat.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Okay.
Stand by.
Look at y'all got questions. James, can you see that question real good?
Yeah, I've seen all the questions. She done asked about 5 questions tonight.
Okay, can you read
Yeah.
them?
Yeah, I read it for you. Here it is. Do you think
Um,
if you, and this is for you, not playing, do you think if you possess the knowledge that you have about mental health now, back then, would it have changed the outcome of your relationship? Rather they were platonic or romantic? Am I
one of
answering
you,
first or they? Okay, they can go first. Go
anybody
ahead and
want
read
to
it
take?
again.
I think over the years, as your knowledge grows in anything, you always have a aha moment. Oh man, if I would have known that, then maybe it could have been. So even outside of love, I mean, like she said, platonic or romantic, just work relationships, platonic relationships, romantic relationships, is if you're constantly growing, which we want to do, you're always going to have some of those moments. You're always going to have some of those moments.
Well, to add to the mental health part, because this is not a conversation that we normally have. Like you go back in the days, we didn't talk about taking care of ourselves mentally. We
Mm-mm.
talk about having boundaries. We didn't have an emotional vocabulary. So a lot of things that we're talking about now, the self care and the self worth, and we
Mm-hmm.
didn't have a lot of that.
Mm,
So now that we've becoming more aware and we making mental health a narrative and we're starting to have the conversations, people
Mm-hmm.
are trying to take care of themselves better. However,
Mm-hmm.
for some
mhm,
people, it's like, hey, I'm done. I'm at that breaking point.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
past the breaking point, yeah, I won't do this again because now I'm learning to find me. I gotta rebuild me. I gotta love me. I gotta know what I want. I gotta put me first. I gotta
Mm-hmm.
make sure I'm taken care of. I gotta protect my mental health and my mental space. So having these conversations now, hopefully it helps a lot of people, a lot of younger people, a lot of people that
Mm-hmm.
hadn't had a lot of trauma or been through a lot of things, and you have the knowledge now. We didn't have it back then. I know I didn't. We didn't have it.
No, no,
You had to get it out the mud. When your
mhm,
because
feelings
it's generational.
right,
Because if we're really being honest, and we're talking about, I'll just take us as Black women.
mhm,
We weren't supposed to be selfish. We
mhm.
were supposed to give. We were supposed to be strong. We were supposed to take care of the household. Then when we do become selfish, oh, all she doing is thinking about herself. What's
right.
she doing over there? So it's always something. It's
And
always something.
even for the Black man, he's not supposed to cry. He's supposed to be
Exactly.
strong. He's
Mm,
not supposed to have an emotion. He's not supposed to show emotions. It's a form of.
Mm-hmm.
So he been growing up. Our man was growing up. Even the married dude, the couple, the married couple. He was like, no, I don't tell her my weaknesses because I'm not supposed to. So
Yeah.
we're a generation that grew up. Those men growing up that, hey, I can't show no sign of weakness. I can't.
Mm-hmm.
It's not okay. But we
yeah.
got to
Mm-hmm.
change the narrative. We got to provide those safe spaces for
Mhm,
the Black man and for
mhm,
women. But the Black man really needs a safe space where
Mm-hmm.
he's able to express himself without being
Mm-hmm.
judged about people putting. Go ahead, John. I knew you were coming. I knew you
I
was
would have
coming.
pushed back a long time ago, but I ain't doing it. I'm gonna stay right here because it's interesting that you say that because I did a show about 2 or 3 weeks ago called "Who Taught Us to Suffer in Silence,"
mhm,
and we dealt with some of the generational traumas that that have been
Mm-hmm.
passed down subliminally and intentionally, whatever whatnot. But then we came back following week and we did another show called "I Broke My Silence." Now what?
mm,
Because so many times when you break your silence, you can't trust everybody with your truth.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Now, answering Jamarcia's question, for me, um, what I if I had known then meant from the I sometimes we say, just because we get these new buzzwords didn't mean they didn't exist in another form back then.
Mm-hmm.
We can talk about self-care and all, but we did something we didn't talk about, we just did them. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But we're in a much more sensitive society now, and social media is prevalent, and we got to have these buzzwords. Shenanigans and toxic and all those, they get on my nerves with all them doggone words that are such buzzwords right now. But
Everybody woke.
yeah,
James.
woke,
Yeah, they
all
woke.
this new stuff that's just, it was here. It was just in another name. It was under a different form. We just didn't talk about it. We didn't, it didn't get buzzes. And anyway, but my thing is, had I known then what I know now, because I talked earlier about how, growth happens. You grow in different directions, you grow up, you grow apart, growth happens. But the challenge is, and where maturity kicks in, and what I should have done different is I should have managed the growth. As a man, as a leader, as one who's in charge of the steward over, what he's in charge of stewarding in this moment, you're responsible for the soil that has been entrusted into you, right? So every seed that's planted, you got to make sure it gets the right amount of fertilizer, gets the right amount of sunlight, the right amount of water, because you control that if you're doing it the right way. So had I managed the growth, made sure I went on the right vacations, or if I saw us going through these silent seasons, say, hold on, wait a minute, somebody got to talk. What are you thinking right now? But part of my problem was I sat with some guilt for so long for some mistakes that I made. And because of the guilt I sat with, I think honestly, for probably 15, 16 years of my marriage, I probably operated on about 70%. Because the other 30% was written in guilt, because I knew I had messed up so long ago. And so it's kind of like I'm walking on eggshells, because I got to be a man, you know what I'm saying? But I don't want to rock the boat, and I'm give her more, So if I had to do it different, I would have definitely managed the growth.
Okay.
I would have planted my roses just like roses are supposed to be planted inside a box to keep them from growing wild. I would have put my seeds all inside that box and let all that growth take place inside that box. You had to put a fence around it,
Right.
until it's trained enough to go outside the fence.
Okay.
But I didn't manage that growth. That was my mistake.
But how could you manage that growth when you don't know about that growth in your 30s and your late 20s, your 30s, or your 40s? So you have to get that experience first.
But the question she said is, if you had known what you know now. So the truth of the matter is, I didn't. You're absolutely right. But if I would have followed the example of elders, because that's what we did in Eastern, East to West. You move Eastern culture, then the whole family was involved. So before y'all could get divorced, you had to go talk to Big Mama and them and Uncle Jack and everybody else, because they was in your business. and they was in your business, and if y'all needed something, she got set down by them, because mamas nurture mamas train their daughters and nurture their sons, right? And daddies trained to nurture. So they would get set down and trained properly, and the man would sit down with the man. I had a show last night, and Jarvis said he had an uncle in his family that was married for so many years. And he said whenever they had big real issues, he and his wife would go out and sit in the car, and they wouldn't get out of the car until they talked out everything they needed to talk out. Whether it was 2 or 3 hours. My most productive part of my marriage was in one of the roughest seasons of our lives. It was one that we had lost pretty much, we just had to kind of ride. But at a certain point, we started having what we call these 3 a.m. conversations. And at 3 a.m., the room was so dark, we couldn't see each other. All we could do was talk. And those were some of the best conversations. You know what I'm saying? Now, that was 7 years before we ended up going through the divorce, 8 years before the divorce ended up taking place. But sometimes that's what you have to do. You know what I'm saying? And you can do it. It can happen. It requires swallowing some pride and getting transparent and really getting naked, and just with the truth, and say, hey, but sometimes we don't do that, especially us. We talk about we of the male species. Especially us. We don't do that, but hey, that's where we are. I'm sorry, I messed up. Did I answer her question? Yeah, I did. Okay.
Well,
I was just gonna add one more thing to that. Like if you possess the knowledge, I think knowledge is good, but I think the second part that comes after that is behavior change.
Right.
And what evolving is I'm actually changing in some type of form.
Yeah.
I can have all the knowledge in the world, but if I don't change behavior to evolve and mature and grow, then nothing's really going to change.
Nothing.
Right. And I feel like in a relationship in general, one person can't be the only one growing.
Right. Absolutely.
The other person has to be growing so that we can grow together. Is because you want to come as two whole, healed individuals.
Mhm.
But that requires both individuals to obtain the knowledge to change the behavior and do the work. And that's why I feel like think maybe a different outcome, but knowledge is great, but changing the behavior to actually evolve would be better.
Well, I hope that answer. Well, yeah, I hope that answered her question. Put your comments in the box. We'll go back to them. This was good. This was epic. You guys were awesome. Thank you. Our next episode will be widows and mental health, people that lost their spouse and how they're navigating mental health. So, you guys, if you can tune in next week and give us some feedback, join in on the conversation. Thank you guys for joining Living Out. Hold your L's up. I really appreciate everything. Make sure you check out James on Intellectual Stew every Monday. Am I right, James?
Every Monday night at 8 p.m. I'm actually thinking about bringing in I got a lady co-host I'm thinking about bringing in with me to bring another eight. So
be good.
Next week we're gonna do a little something. And I like to do open mic nights on Mondays, so we can bring in questions and people can shoot in scenarios, and we ride with them. It's fun.
All right, we'll put that your information on the Live It Out Inc. page. Vinay, the name of your organization again.
Empower Her Collective. You can reach me at coachvanay@gmail.com. COACHVANAY@gmail.com.
All right, Diane, you want to plug in something? You good?
I am good. Thanks for the invite.
All right, well, you guys continue to get out, live your best life. Again, thank you. Mwah. See y'all next time.
Appreciate you for inviting me.
Appreciate you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.